We call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave. Councilperson Vining.
Here.
Maney.
Here.
Stringham.
Here.
Felder. Hayter.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. Next is public comment. So any public comment from those present here this evening, whether the matters of, we're talking about in 75 Scott Street redevelopment proposal, or any other matters they may have. Any public comments this evening? Seeing none. Next item, please.
The next item is under the work session agenda. It's item 5417, 75 Scott Street redevelopment proposal.
Thank you, Manager Robinson. I see that Mr. Vanasacker is already getting to the podium.
Yes, sir. This is a redevelopment proposal from Woda Cooper and Assistant Director of Economic Development. And I'm not going to say all the rest of the stuff he's Assistant Director of. Matt Vanasacker here is to introduce this subject.
Thank you. Welcome, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of council, Clerk Treasurer Lavoie, Matt Vanasacker, Deputy Director of Economic and Community Development and Neighborhood Services Coordinator with the City of Monroe. Here to provide a brief introduction for tonight's work session presentation regarding a proposal that we have received to redevelop the former City of Monroe Central Fire Station site at 75 Scott Street and the adjacent parking lot at 60 Wadsworth Street. Since its demolition following the opening of our new fire station in 2019, redevelopment of this property has been of the utmost priority. Since that time, staff have made contact and have had several conversations with qualified developers, a few of which have made it to the stage of presenting to City Council. These conversations have varied from single unit to townhome development, mixed-use residential and commercial development, to what you would consider a traditional multifamily residential development. This past year has been no exception, and in July, after several interested residential developers expressed an interest simultaneously in redeveloping the property, we made the decision to reissue a request for proposals for the redevelopment of the site. You may recall that the department previously issued an RFP back in 2021, so this RFP served as a revision to the previous request for proposals that was sent out at that time. Although we did hear back from several firms expressing interest, we ended up receiving a singular complete proposal from Woda Cooper Companies, who are here with us this evening. We have had numerous conversations with Woda Cooper Companies over the past 6 months about the possibility of a project in the city of Monroe, and naturally, conversation gravitated toward the possibilities of redeveloping this property. The firm has expansive experience in attainable residential development and are looking to redevelop the former fire station and adjacent parking lot into a multifamily residential development. To speak a bit more about the project and its particulars, I would like to now welcome George Loda and Greg Mustrick, and then also Clay Cooper with Woda Cooper Group to share a bit about the firm's intentions.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yes, appreciate it. So we are Woda Cooper Companies. We were founded in 1990, and we have over 400 properties in our portfolio and 16,000 plus units. We specialize in affordable housing, specifically low income tax credit housing, which is administered through MSHDA, which is the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. We have developed in rural and urban communities. This consists of multi-family apartments, senior living townhomes, single-family subdivisions. We've done townhouses. We've done elevator buildings. We've done stacked flats. We've done mixed-use projects. We've pretty much done everything that spans with development. We specialize specifically in long-term long-term development when it comes to construction, development, and management. We are vertically integrated, and we are here to stay. We value, obviously, our community engagement, and we would like to hear, obviously, what the community thinks in our development and what they want to see in a development. And we've been working consistently with Matthew on our development proposal. So currently we have been looking at the fire station, and we looked at multiple other sites, such as the Wadworth site. And when it comes to application time, scoring is one of the biggest criterias. And currently, this site specifically is in close proximity to employment opportunities, restaurants, retail centers, medical office, and recreation areas. We are looking at doing a 3-story elevator building with 46 units split between 23 one-bedroom units and 22 two-bedroom units with a modern open floor plan. We are green certified LEED Zero Energy, 100% visitable with type 5A accessible units. And then I'll have Greg touch on some of our amenities.
Hi, thank you. So the community amenities or common area amenities that we'll have with this development that we're proposing tonight, one of the things would be a community room with kitchenette, rooftop terrace, a fitness center, common area laundry, a playground, a picnic area with grills, bike racks, and a property manager's office. We may also include a supportive service office too, for providing resident services and a place for them to meet at the development as well. The unit amenities, most of our units are going to have open floor plans. They'll have a full appliance package. We'll have central air conditioning, energy efficient windows, LED lighting, and luxury vinyl tile flooring. George, if you'd like to talk about the site plan.
Yep. Here's our rough preliminary site plan. We're looking at putting the building on First Street and Scott Street. Our proposed site would be an L-shaped building with the parking in the back of the building, with the entrance to the site coming from the alley. We've been in talks with Matthew about the alley, and he would like to see it paved, so we put that in our site plan. And additionally, we would include trees and shrubs along First and Scott Street with exits coming out the building. Additionally, we would have playground in the back with a grill area with areas for our tenants to sit and relax. Here's just a rough elevation of what it would be looking like. This is very preliminary. We've been working with Matthew on some of the requirements. We would have a storefront on First and Scott. Additionally, we've been in talks with doing a mural somewhere on First Street with somebody local. And then Greg will talk about rents and income.
Thank you. Yes. So as of right now, our preliminary financial projections, we have our gross rents for one bedroom will be $512 to $1,012. The two bedrooms will be $615 to $1,264. Because we're utilizing the tax credit program, we have to restrict the rent or incomes at our property. So for the income limits for the community, we have a one person at around $19,000 that can go all the way up to $51,000. For two persons living in a unit, an income around $22,000 up to a little over $58,000. And for three persons, around $24,000 up to $66,000. Financing our development, we're going to utilize the tax credit program. So our tax credit equity obviously provides a big part of our financing. Without it, we really couldn't develop our properties. That is obviously a big factor. So we'd be around $13.4 million in tax credit equity. The other source would be a permanent first mortgage, around $975,000, and a deferred developer fee of around $476,000. Construction for the development, we're looking at, again, preliminary. It may go up a little bit. It may come down a little bit depending on our contractor and what we're proposing, but around $9.9 million, with our soft costs around $2.7 million, developer fee of $1.8 million, and reserves at $402,000. for an overall total development cost of $14,924,203. One of the things that we look for when we're developing properties, especially in Michigan, is obtaining a payment in lieu of taxes. So mostly all of our Michigan properties have a pilot, is the acronym for it, and that's something that we would be seeking with you here in the community. So the pilot was created by the Section 15A of the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, or MISHDA as we call them, Act of 1996 as amended. So the pilot allows for typical property taxes to be replaced by an alternative payment that's tied to the development net rental income. This is calculated by taking the total net rents collected, subtracting out the cost of the common area utilities that are paid by the developer or owner, and then multiplying that by a percentage rate that is, agreed upon between the developer and the community. And typically, that's around 4%. So at this time, I believe for the property, really, they're not really getting any or real estate taxes paid. So, what we would be proposing would be a 4% pilot payment to the community, and obviously then it's allocated as the real estate taxes are, with the county. That would be around $14,287 annually.
So in terms of local partnership, obviously Stephanie is here today. She works for the MCOP, or actually runs it, sorry. And she would be our co-development partner who would have 25% general partnership in. When it comes to involvement in Monroe, she has extensive knowledge and background here. I'm sure everyone here knows her today. And her and Erin both would be part of the potential partnership. Community Reimagine would be our main partner. And then the MCOP would offer supportive services for our set-aside units. Additionally, we would be partnering with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs of Ann Arbor, and we plan on setting aside at least 7 units for veterans, which could be subject to change. Why Monroe, Michigan?
So first, with MISHDA and our main financing source with the tax credits, the federal government has the low-income housing tax credits. They allocate them to the state, and the state then comes up with what they call the Qualified Allocation Plan, QAP for short. And so one of the ways they try to determine, how they're going to fund deals, as it is a competitive process, we're going up against other developers and other communities throughout the state, is to basically come up with scoring criteria. So they evaluate the deals. So basically, say it's 100 points is the max score. You want to try to achieve 100 points. And so they look at things as, are you close to amenities? Are you in a revitalization area? Are you close to a bus stop? And, do you have site plan approval? And if you get a pilot too, you get points for that. That not only helps the financial feasibility of the deal, which we need, but also it is incentivized in the QAP. So as we're going through and we're checking these boxes, Monroe, it does. It checks a lot of the boxes. The site checks a lot of the boxes. And that's obviously one of the things that we're looking at, because without the tax credits, we really can't fund our properties or fund the deal. And, and if we're going to pursue a deal like this one, we have to be sure it's going to be competitive, because we're spending anywhere from $30,000 up to $60,000 of pre-development money to submit an application. So we go to the owners, we're saying, this site in Monroe, we love it, we love the community, we want to be here. Here's how we meet the scoring criteria. So it is a competitive site, and I think George can talk a little bit too, just about locally, the reasons why we want to be here as well.
So when I first reached out to Matthew back in April, he had 3 sites, as I said earlier. And in terms of scoring, this site scores a 105 under the new QAP, which is highly competitive. And it's in a great walkable area in downtown Monroe. We've been working diligently, obviously, to decide if this site needs anything necessarily for application. And right now, necessarily, it does not. And it's in great condition. And we would love to be in Monroe. We've been looking in Monroe for years. We just haven't necessarily found a site that scores competitively. So when I reached out to Matthew, I was very fortunate that he did have a site that was right there and ready to be developed. Okay, now we have development timeline, which Greg will touch on.
And I would like to point out too, just, I think the location of the site that we're looking at too, right in the downtown area, it's close, it's very walkable. We love that. A lot of our communities are walkable. That's just something we value. And I think redeveloping a site that's been sitting there, it's an infill site, making the highest and best use of it is something that, I think we can really bring to the table. One of the things that he may have touched on a little bit earlier in the presentation is we are long-term owners. So we want to be here. We want to be a part of the community, build a partnership with you, and ensure that what we're proposing here really meets the needs of the community. In reading through your housing plan that was recently published, there is a need for rental housing. I don't believe a lot has been developed and built new recently, and this would really bring a new housing stock to the community that you can be proud of. And with the housing tax credit program, we have a 15-year compliance period with the state, and we extend the affordability, up to 45 years. But after the 15 years are up with our initial compliance period, we can go back into the state, reapply for tax credits, and then go in and update the building. So that's something we're doing now with our properties throughout our portfolio, since we've been around for over 35 years. And it's something that, every chance we get, we want to do that. And our communities, we're building them to a higher standard, high quality materials, because we're going to be long-term owners. We don't want to come in and build something and fall apart. So, judge us, not in the first year it's built, but 10 years down the road, and you'll see that our the high quality materials, the craftsmanship that goes into the developments is something that, you'll be proud of. It fits in well with the community. We'll have on-site property managers there too, and on-site maintenance tech. And I report to David Cooper, who's one of the owners of the company. And, you'll have my cell phone. So if there's anything as, the years go on, feel free to give me a call and I can reach out to him directly and resolve anything. But I went off on a little tangent there. I just wanted to add a little bit more information and talk to you a little bit about our development timeline too. So right now, we've been working with Matthew and the community, and obviously way before August and September, but now is the time where we're preparing our tax credit application. So we'll be seeking the community approvals with zoning, site plan, obtaining a pilot, getting a letter of support from City Council, and also collecting all of our third-party reports, environmental reports, market studies, everything that we need to submit a tax credit application. There's a lot of third parties involved, and we have to ensure that we hit our deadline to apply to MSHDA for the financing on October 1st. So that's our drop dead date. So everything we're doing now is so that we can submit our app on October 1st. And then MSHDA will come out with their awards, if you get the credits, if you don't, in January of 2026. Sometimes it could go a little bit later into February, but we just never know. But that's tentative for now. If we get the allocation of tax credits, we'll then move from taking the project in a concept form at application to working with all of our engineers and going through the entitlement process. So taking it from a concept and really bringing it in so that we can obtain building permits. And once we have the building permits, we can close on the equity with our investors and then start construction. So that would be in September of 2026. And then in October of 27, we would look to complete construction and have a grand opening. So that kind of does it for our presentation today. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And, thank you again for having us here to present.
Well, thank you for the presentation and the background information and some additional things. I've already checked 2 things off of my questions, and I'll save those. Questions from City Council? Michelle?
Is there a laundry facility in the building, or does every apartment have its own little laundry room?
Yeah, there will be a common laundry. And then typically with our Michigan properties, we'll have a washer dryer hookups in the units as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mike?
Are there any recent projects you've done in Southeast Michigan that we could kind of look into and see what kind of work you've done?
Yeah, we have one in Mount Clemens, Michigan, which is recent. That one, I think, is around 30 units. It's actually in the downtown area. It was an infill site. We partnered with, I think, the local AMVETs, and we have 30 general occupancy units, and it's right along the river. So it was a great site. The city was really excited about it. Worked with them to obtain support and pilot and everything too.
Okay.
And we're spread throughout the state as well. So we're in Grand Rapids, Traverse City, Shiawassee County, all the way up into the Upper Peninsula as well, Sault Ste. Marie.
We have currently 2 projects under construction right now, one in Traverse City and one in Marquette, Michigan, up in the UP.
And in Wyoming too.
Just taking a note. Other questions from council? Kathy?
I just would like a better understanding of the local tax credits. Like, how does that affect the city? Is that part of what you're going to talk about further, or is anyone prepared to just explain layman's terms?
The tax rates that we're applying for.
Yeah, how does that affect the city and the length of time? That's how I was just looking for more information on
Yeah,
that.
so really in that regard, it doesn't impact the city in regards to like any tax credits with the city themselves. It's a federal program. The tax credits are allocated to the states. And so the states basically come up with how they want to allocate the credits. And so really, when we're going out into communities to find properties, it's based on what the state is seeking in the development. And so at that point, that's why we're applying for the tax credits to help finance the development. Receiving the tax, sorry.
Yeah, and I'll add something, Clay Cooper. Yeah, so it's a Reagan era tax credit program. So what that means is once we get that award of credits, that $13 million, we're applying for, call it $1.3 million in credit. It's a 10-year annual credit. It offsets federal income tax. So it's a way for to incentivize private money to buy that credit, right? So a lot of our investors are banks. They're required to invest where they hold deposits under the Community Reinvestment Act. So, I would imagine in this area we'll get interest from like Comerica or PNC or maybe even Huntington National Bank, and we'll competitively bid those credits. So the benefit for them is they get CRA credit. They get rated by the federal government based on investing where they hold those deposits, and it gives them certain privileges as a bank. And so by competitively bidding those, we get the best price. But for the city, the larger tax implication would be our pilot request, that payment in lieu of taxes. So again,
That would be the property taxes, is that, and then what was that?
correct. Yeah. So yeah, the payment in lieu of taxes. So because we are pledging to restrict our rents, the valuation of our property can often be higher than the actual revenue we're taking in. So the MISHTA Act was there to help stabilize these properties, especially during lease up, right? We're not bringing in the same revenue as a market rate developer. And so in lieu of that, they actually allow you to go up to 120% area median income now, compared to previously it was only up to 80% under the MISHTA Act. But yeah, we're paying a percentage of our revenue. So during that lease up period, right, those payments are going to be a little bit smaller. But once that property stabilizes, that's where that property tax goes. Our total occupancy across our portfolio sits around 96-97% across our 18 states. So our estimates are generally pretty accurate. But that's but it's essentially asking for a reduction in the property tax that you all would be receiving.
So it's not no property tax, it's just a reduction for
Correct.
a length of time?
Yeah, a specified payment,
Okay.
and it would be an annual payment, and then it would be distributed as property taxes typically are.
Yeah, we'd be asking for a minimum of a 15-year pilot, and the reason being is it has to coincide with that 15-year compliance period.
Thank you.
Yes, Kelly.
Hello, gentlemen. So does the pilot pay out to the city every year, or do you wait 15 years?
No,
and
it pays like traditional property tax. Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be assessed every single year.
Okay, so would this be considered a low-income housing project?
To a degree, yes. It's a big range of incomes. I think on our slide you could see that. So the program is set up so that it's really a mixed income community. We rent to as low as 30% of area median income, and like mentioned in the presentation previously, a lot of those lower income bands were. Seven of those, at least seven, and George said that's subject to change, and that's because some of our investors actually want to see a higher percentage of vets. But a lot of those lower income units will be supporting the veterans, some of those, and then it goes up to 80% of area median income. So that's where you're seeing that, I think, 3-person around $66,000 for a 3-person family. So that means, a husband, wife, and 1 kid, right? The combined income of that household can be $66,000 and they can live in our community, right? You're talking a lot of entry level, even city jobs. You're talking teachers. You're talking entry level police and fire jobs. It's serving the workforce here in Monroe with those mix of incomes.
I like the idea of mixed income, and for social and cultural reasons, but also because we tend to get quite a bit of pushback when that terminology, low income, even if they're high quality and well managed, I think just the term, some people don't understand. So I kind of, that's good to have an understanding that actually it's a mixed income, which is, I like that idea for this type of development.
Absolutely. Our program has the worst name, I think, in history. And it's something we battle community across the country. But
And that's not to say that low income people aren't just as deserving as housing. I just know in this, where this is situated, the site, and the surrounding neighborhood, that I would expect some strong feedback about low income housing being put in that area. So in terms of marketing and selling it to the community, I like the idea of the mixed use terminology a little better, because, and that's the truth of it.
Absolutely. And we like that feedback. I mean, we met with city staff on Friday. We made a couple tweaks to our site plan already, but we really want that community driven approach to the design right? This is something that, again, we're not here to build it and flip it like these guys said earlier. We are long-term property owners, and it's in our best interest to be the best neighbor we possibly can be. We talked about engaging the street front more, adding those street front windows, on the corner. We brought up, the public art during that meeting. It's those sorts of design, changes, and we still haven't changed the colors, but I promise we will get to that. That was also something that was mentioned. So, we're not afraid of critical feedback, anything like that, and we really do like that collaborative process, whether it be with the city staff or even neighbors. I personally have sat on, did a rezoning in North Carolina. I sat on a neighbor's porch. She was the former head of planning commission. She was recently widowed and spent hours on her porch going through design, going through everything. We pride ourselves on that approach, and hope you all can see that throughout our process here, that we're willing to do that and listen.
Mike?
Looking at your thing here, your overview, it says developer, owner, contractor. Is the construction done under WODA Cooper?
Yes, sir. Yep. So yep.
And are you guys a do-all contractor where you do self-perform all the construction?
No, we basically self-perform none of it,
Okay.
actually. So we hire locally. So we're a general contractor, but we're gonna hire a vast majority of our work. The only thing we have in-house, and they might come up this far, they do most of our Ohio work and some Kentucky, is plumbing. Is about the only trade we have in-house. But they're based in Ohio, and we do about, last year we closed 26 deals. There's no way they could do 26 deals simultaneously. So yeah, that would be the only trade that we would do in-house.
Okay. And is there anything you have in place to ensure that people that live in this community will work on that project?
Yeah, so a lot of times our construction group, they're going to hold, some open, recruiting sessions in town. We're going to work with our local partners to help source that, work with the city. I know, hiring some union labor here, getting with some union reps would also be, a big plus here. So absolutely, we would love to, work with our local partners to help source the local connections.
So I'll start with Mike. Mike makes a great point here because we have much labor and we have much organizations and people willing to do the work along all aspects of a construction project. So we appreciate hearing that. Councilwoman Vining, Kelly and I, we sat here the longest now, and we had a project not long ago that was pretty close to completion on the same site. Some other things came up why it didn't happen. It wasn't about the developer, it wasn't about the project. But as she said, people were then asking, this was years ago, well, why that? Why not something else? And then I think that's our part of also for communicating to the public. I think everybody, no matter where you're at, should have attainable, good homes to live in. And I think the way that this project speaks and hasn't, and others have had in the past, is, that's the start, but that's also where we end. And that mix brings different people in. Those are, I've heard it many times, and the public's heard it many times. That new employee, that startup, family that's, got a job that pays within that realm. And, if it was just a few $1,000s less, then you're leaving out that opportunity. They're just as much as willing, all along the spectrum that, Kelly and I talk about periodically. We know that we have needs at low income, whatever you define that as, because people have a different opinion about that. But as you go along that revenue line, is people that are young professionals that are also qualifying for these locations. And I appreciate the veteran aspect of it as well. And then within our plan, I'm sure you saw it, and the council has talked about this, was our topic at the start of this year as we looked last year on housing, and it was our priority for this year. And how do we attract at all spectrums of the line of housing, and we are doing that. And this is one of those that we think the same. We think the site is great. It's kitty corner from the Lake Erie Transit, right, Michelle? And she's the operations supervisor.
Oh, wonderful.
So, you talk about routes and the opportunity to get somewhere for employment. Or to get to items that you can walk downtown for, but maybe something that you need to take the ride for to get, and you don't have a vehicle. So I don't know what else I want to say. You answered the questions I had. It was about management on site, maintenance, the partnership with MCOP, which I think is fantastic. We have to do much work with Stephanie, and then Stephanie and Aaron as well as recent. But the last part I was about vacancies, and I think you gave the answer, 96 to 97% occupied. So as you get vacancies, I guess is the follow-up question. How's that marketed, and what partners do you work with? Obviously MCOP, we have Michigan Works. There's ways to do that, and I think even internally here with our staff. But is there something else that you may be looking
Yeah,
at?
that's a great answer. It's kind of a twofold question. So I was actually on our senior management call this morning, and talking about this, exact thing this morning. So, we'll local radio, local partners, local newspapers will, literally hit the streets, right? Flyers. I mean, any kind of marketing tactic, we're happy, to employ that. And if we have nearby properties, which we do here, we'll pull some staff from there to help with that marketing effort as well. That's the great part about having a lot of properties, spread across a lot of states now. But really, a lot of our work to keep that occupancy up starts even beforehand. So we have a very unique management practice that we started now a little over 2 years ago. I'm on one of our committees. It's called our credit committee. We meet daily. And we screen residents that are in a gray area of credit. And whether that, at another company, that person probably gets an automatic reject. No one looks at their file. And we do this for two reasons. One, we're looking for folks who are going to be good long-term tenants. But it's also to give folks a chance, right? People get hit with a $30,000 medical bill. It gets on their credit report. That doesn't mean that person's going to be a bad tenant or a bad person. So we do it for both of those reasons. We're trying to get, we value, obviously they have to have a good rent to income ratio, right? That's just standard business practice. But, we can overlook some of the credit issues if they have a good, if they've lived somewhere for 5 years and have a good reference, right, from that landlord. Those are the things we look at. And then once they pass through the credit committee, they go to a criminal committee, and same thing. They meet every single day. And we have rotating members on those committees. We have, senior folks on the committee, and we also have participating community managers on those meetings. So it's at every level. Voices are heard throughout the company about, tenant screening. So, and that has led to a much lower eviction rate in our properties that we're seeing. And so that's really our goal, is to keep long-term tenants and find those right people, and also give people a chance.
Sure. So we have a MPAC, which is our public broadcast, which you are currently on right now at this moment.
Wonderful.
And so we, and many residents do watch our work sessions and our council meetings. So I think about that as they do much in the community of updating how information is broadcast to the community. So, okay. Other questions? Kathy?
I'm just curious, and maybe someone watching will have this question later, so we'll just ask it now. Let's say someone gets a promotion at work and it pushes them out of the income range. How does that work? Like, is there a certain time that they have to requalify? Just wondering how that works.
Yeah, so once they will have to requalify annually, I believe. That's correct, Greg? Yeah.
But as long as someone qualifies when they move in, if next year they get a raise, they wouldn't get kicked out. They qualify when you move in. That's really what counts. And so if their income goes up, it's all right. They're not going to get kicked out.
Okay. I think that would be a concern of someone having to find another place potentially.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
Very good. Other questions from council? I'll look to manager and staff to see if they have any follow-ups they wanted to follow up on. Matt?
Director Cochran has some
Okay.
follow-up he'd like to bring up.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'll grab this.
Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen. I want to thank Matt for his hard work. I think one of the priorities of council has been to aggressively find opportunities for a broad spectrum of residential development, whether it's traditional low income, attainable, affordable, market rate of many sorts. So whether it's the work he's done with the resident who wanted to buy the property on Church Street, that's on your agenda tonight for a couple units, or Stephanie and Aaron for their 6 units. The Academy, 115 units, 46 units at this site. He's really done a great job of working with all the developers to find the right site for the right fit. So I want to thank Matt for working with all the interests, because in addition to Woda Cooper, there's others that we're talking with as well about other sites. But a couple things that drew us to this proposal, I will say Woda Cooper has been great to work with. All the feedback we've had on, as they mentioned tonight, on the design of the site, everything from the name to the trees and the site layout, they've been very flexible and very open to working with us because this is a key site, not just in our city, but also our downtown. So I wanted to add a little flavor, Councilwoman, your question about the pilot. So we do have one other active pilot right now in the city, and that's Norman Towers. That was the last one that the city council approved. It's the same way that they pay a certain percentage of their income rather than reassessing the property every year and basing the new property tax bill based on the new assessment. So while we do forego some future growth in property taxes, I wanted to talk about the benefit that comes with this as well. So the DDA, when the DDA's boundaries were redrawn, I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago, this site was included intentionally so that any new improvement and new development would be in the DDA district and they could capture that revenue. So we're working with Attorney Buds to make sure that our ordinance with a pilot agreement, the DDA would still benefit, whether it's through a pilot or whether it's through any other development, market rate, or otherwise. The taxable income that the DDA would add is obviously good for their balance and their budget. However, right now we're having discussions about the future of the Monroe Optical Building. And we do have a developer who's interested, and they came to Matt and I and said, what do you think this property needs? And so we've talked about some different ideas, but we've talked about a market downtown for residents, for workers who are downtown, and other personnel who are visiting the community. And we've talked about, while there may not be enough demand to support a full market, it could be a component of another business. And as we continue to grow residential downtown, it may be a big need to have a standalone market bodega of some sort. And then we have this conversation about 46 new units coming within the next 2 years. It's those benefits that having 46 new residents, families, new development and growth in the downtown that can help raise up revenue opportunity for the DDA outside just this site. So I know in our discussion with City Council about 212 East Front Street, we were very diligent. Council had some great feedback and great comments about not just selling property for the sake of selling property and offloading it, but being very intentional in terms of what are the benefits that the city gets, our resident gets in the downtown, and we feel that this one checks all the boxes. The other thing that we were very impressed with, we made no bones about some of the challenges we've had with other apartment developments in the city, and the challenges with owners and the fact that they have changed ownership multiple times over the year and the challenges that comes with that. The fact Woda Cooper has a track record of long-term ownership and long-term sustainability and maintenance, and the screening that they talked about with their clients is very attractive for us for stability, but also for maintenance and code enforcement and things of that sort. And their track record in other communities and the work that they do presented a positive as well. The collaboration, their contract also talked about, and they mentioned this evening, locally sourced suppliers, locally sourced labor. That's always something we like to hear, that some companies are in it for the dollar. They come in, they bring in workers from out of town, they build the thing, they get their credit, they sell it and leave. The fact that we're talking about a long-term establishment relationship with Woda Cooper on this key site, it was another positive. And then finally, in the DDA's master plan, the fire station was one of the priority redevelopment sites. And so we're pleased to be moving yet another priority of the DDA, but also the city in our master plan forward with this proposal as well. So just a little additional flavor I wanted to add to the presentation, and also the local benefit that comes. So
Thanks, Mark. Any questions for Mark or administration from council?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have no further on this topic.
On this topic. Matt, anything further? Very good.
A little bit more especially. Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to bring up too, obviously I think the aggressive timeline was mentioned a couple times during the during the presentation. So there are a few steps and a few things that we are going to request, and Woda Cooper will request through this process. The first is that obviously with any update comes an update to the planned unit development zoning, which the project would currently fall under. So Woda Cooper will be proceeding with an application to amend the existing PUD to accommodate this this investment. They will be doing so, and a lot of the actual building materials and things like that are things that are specifically called out in the existing PUD. It's just a bit of a different site layout than what was originally kind of envisioned during that process. So the plan is to have that go to the Citizens Planning Commission at their September meeting. And in the meantime, this will also require a request for a special meeting of City Council, which we are aiming for September 29th to occur. So that'll be in between your regularly scheduled meetings, and it'll would allow for the adequate public notice time and some of those other things to go out. So the plan at that special meeting on the 29th would be to ultimately approve or make a decision on the preliminary plan design, which would constitute their site plan approval at that phase, but then also to approve a payment in lieu of taxes agreement. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that. There are some things in between, different recommendations and approvals that are coming, but those will be the two main action items from City Council standpoint.
Thanks, Matt. And I think also, oh, Kelly, go ahead.
Can you say again? So we just set up this PUD like last year or something like that. Can you say again? We need to change it. Are you saying change?
Yeah.
The zoning has to be changed.
So with any PUD, I always like to say it's there's positives and there's also negatives with it. There's positives that, you know, for any development, it can essentially occur within a separate zoning framework than, say, our standard zoning code. But with that also comes some pretty strict design standards, and a pretty particular project is typically what draws out a PUD. So what they're proposing is not vastly different than what the PUD is in place, but we do anticipate that some changes will need to be made to the PUD for this development to move forward.
But it'll still be PUD.
Yes. Yep. It would still be under PUD.
So is it like special use or?
No, so PUD would operate on its own. It essentially, I mean, it would serve as a similar to a special use, but it would operate on its own level. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So, excuse me. So I think about this and the partnerships that were talked about here with Woda, of course, and Woda Cooper and MCOP. But, you know, and I appreciate that, almost said Councilman, but Commissioner Lamore is here because, you know, he's familiar with our past and working in this area. Of course, he's now with the county. And we know on our agenda here later this evening, during our council meeting, there's some actions that council's looking at that ties along with this. So, you know, while it may seem like a tight time frame, it might be, but it's achievable by the staff. I commend all of you for looking at it forward. Can it be done? Because you hate to get to the end and find out it can't be done. Having a special meeting is something we've done before, and I think that's achievable. Thank goodness there's a fifth Monday on that month, right?
That's right.
So
that's right.
It doesn't happen often, right? 4 times. But anyways, it's but you know, our partnerships with the county, and they, you know, that besides just the property itself, you know, return back in some lease opportunities for their employees in parking. And some of them may be those new employees that they're starting their first time and working downtown, and geez, they might just actually live right there, may not be close right to where the work is. So those are the options that are available from when we talk about the income and different levels, but also the partnerships to get this done. So I just want to say thanks to you, Matt, Mark, and of course, administration.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep. Any final comments or questions from council?
Your Honor, and as you bring that up, just to quickly bring that, you do in the packet later tonight that we have worked, even though these agreements started back in 21, 22, But then we were able to work through these, myself and the county, to where we have a purchase agreement that'll be in your packet today for purchasing of the property of the parking lot at 60 Wadsworth. And then we have a rental agreement to where they will be leasing a number of parking spots in our city parking lot that is behind 212 Front Street. And I think to bring all of that together, kind of resurrect that deal, because we didn't really have interest until we put out the RFP and we started developing this. We rekindled this deal, and I have to compliment the county has been responsive to be able. These items, the ones you're voting on today, will actually be on the agenda in the commissioners' meeting tomorrow night. So once that is done, that is one more hurdle that has been completed to help us reach the aggressive timeline that's necessary for us to get them to help them receive their funding application and have site control.
You know, as we've talked about this site, and as the new fire station was built and became available, and the other, I'll say the east lot there that was owned by the county, you know, just trying to get things to work without the full site just didn't get the return back, size-wise, type-wise. So this other, we might have one close version, but this one is more so, and using the site location is bringing things to the front instead of having just cars parked out in front. You know, this gives them, obviously, the tenants the opportunity to get in and out of their living quarters with parking in their own site behind instead of in the front, which is good. Well, thank you, Manager Robinson. If there's nothing further, I just want to say thank you to all three of you for being here. Stephanie, thank you for joining us as well. And we look forward to moving this forward and starting with our meeting here at 7:30. Thank you. Manager Robinson, anything further for this evening?
Nothing further unless there's any items on the agenda that council would like to discuss beforehand.
Well, I did mention, well, there it is. I did mention the administration prior to the start of our work session here. Looking forward, so we have it on our kind of our radar, our timeline of, we've talked about many different things, what might be coming next in a work session like this, you know, council action item. So I thought maybe just not necessarily have to be in order because we know things change, but there's been many topics. So I'm Manager Robinson or Mr. Cochran, what is coming up in our work session items here in the next 2 or 3 times?
In the next several meetings, we're going to be working on the vacant business registry. That'll come as a topic. We're going to bring the most favorite topic around right now, e-bikes. We'll be discussing that further. What was the other one we talked about? Yeah, the naming policy. We have just met internally on that, so we'll be bringing some revisions to the naming policy. And potentially the parking validation system, once we're ready to roll that out right now, so the next couple of weeks, so we will explain how that works to council, especially for people who may want to watch that are business owners, et cetera. So those are kind of the lineup over the next several weeks.
You know, in the naming policy, because I know that Councilman Vining and Councilman Felder and I, worked on the original draft. It's not a matter of changing some of the structure that we put in place, but it's really about implementation with the ethics board review. We're getting requests, if I'm sure council has heard, if not, we're getting requests for items that may not need that review because it may be tied to the parks. And Parks has a policy about naming. When we did that, as we worked through the Summer Rankin Gardens, we did it because the same thing in Labor Park. The people weren't really looking for, facilities to be renamed. They were looking for a bench with their family's name on it or a plaque by a tree. So, but right now, the only naming policy we have goes to the length of the ethics board, and while they'll still have opportunities for things, that just some things can move forward quicker or more easily, because we have usually 2 or 3 that are being asked that we should be moving forward quicker than what we possibly can at this time. So it really streamlines the process without getting away from what the intent and purpose was for the naming policy. Questions or comments from council? If nothing other, any items, Councilwoman Binding?
Hopefully, we can add an update on the library expansion
Oh, yeah.
soon. I'm sure the public is interested in all the progress they are seeing.
Any questions from council regarding items on the agenda coming next? Any items that you have a question on or some clarity, I guess, they may be looking for? We can do it now before we get into the meeting and at the meeting. I see none. I think we're going to be adjourned here. All right, this time, I'll close the work session, and thank you for being here. Appreciate it so much. Call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Here. Vining? Here. Jermaine? Here. Stringham?
Here.
Felder?
Excused.
Hayter? Here. Mayor Clark?
Present. Lest we all please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We are grateful for the great resources of this land and for the freedom which has been its heritage. Inspire us to serve with fairness, humility, and integrity, and to work for the welfare of this community and all who call her home.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, next item, please.
Approval of the regular agenda.
Manager Robinson, any adjustments on the agenda?
Your Honor, the administration has no adjustments to the regular agenda.
Any items on the agenda council wish to have, or changes to the agenda? I apologize. If not, need a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Motion to approve the regular agenda?
Motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave to approve the regular agenda. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Yes. Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Yes. Hayter? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
Consent agenda, and for approval of payments to vendors, which is item B, the amount should read $1,131,302.75, 1131302.75.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Any items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, are there any items on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? And what that means, items on the consent agenda will be approved collectively with one motion, but if there's an item there that any of that are present want to speak about specifically, then we'd be asking to have that pulled to be brought back to the agenda, and that will be then placed at the end of the council action. Any item on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? Councilwoman Vining? 5425. Okay. Any other items from those present? Seeing none, a motion would be in order to approve the consent agenda minus the item. Councilman Stillgrave?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exclusion of 5425.
Motion, excuse me, motion by Councilman Stillgrave, supported by Councilwoman Jermaine, that all items on the consent agenda, absent item 5425, be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Grave? Yes. Vining? Yes. Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Hayter? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item on the agenda is item 5424, River Raisin Stewardship Camps presentation.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, I know we have people here today to talk about the stewardship camps.
We do have some individuals here, some very special individuals, to talk about the stewardess camps. I'd like to invite HR Director, Dr. Everly, to introduce this topic.
Dr. Everly, welcome.
Typically, I stand before you to talk about the HR business of the city, but tonight I have the distinct honor to introduce some very, very special guests tonight and be here as a member of the Commission on the Environment that is led by our chairperson, Brian Egan, who is also here and will say a few words at the end of the presentation. And we'd also like to acknowledge Councilwoman Germaine on the commission, as well as Dan Stefanski, who is here, is also a commissioner. So, Honorable Mayor and Council, we're very excited to share with you a milestone for the Commission on the Environment. For some time, the Commission has talked about having an education component of stewardship for youth as part of its efforts to help to maintain all the important improvements that we've made to our river and surrounding areas for many, many years to come. So we invited some very talented educators to begin designing an experience and some lessons, and they're going to talk to you about that this evening. So we have Holly Wallace here, who has decades of experience in education in both curriculum design and in the classroom, and also Megan Gibson, who has very similar experiences of curriculum design, consultation, and classroom work. So I'd like to turn it over to them. Thank you.
Right. Holly? Or Megan? Or both?
So thank you for having us here today. This was a lot of fun to be able to design and implement with kids. Our camp was for K through 6th grade, was Monday through Thursday. We did the kindergarten through 2nd grade in the morning. And we focused with this group on who lives in and around the river raisin and what do they need to survive and how do humans impact the river in both positive and negative ways. We have Grace here. Grace was a part of our K2 group in the morning, and she has some things that she wants to share with you about her learning.
She was so prepared before.
She was. We can read it for you, Grace, if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, come here. Well, I'll do that for you. No problem. So Grace really loved learning about the sturgeons. She loved when the mayor came to visit and talked to us about the sturgeons and pointed out how the sturgeon was on the shirt. Remember that? Yes. She loved going to new places and meeting new friends, and she even touched a dragonfly. Oh.
Thank you.
Grace.
Thank you, Grace.
And our 3rd to 6th graders, they were our water warriors, and they really fit that name for them too. Their favorite part was actually being in the river and hunting for things during the week. With this age group, the standards that were being addressed, the national science standards that we wove into it, were about food chains and ecosystems and how everything fit together. So when there was an impact of one part of a food chain or one part of the habitat in the river, how that impacted everything on up. The lessons start with a mystery about how eagles might have some sort of pollution or chemicals in them and how that could happen through the food chain that the kids discover and figure out during the week. And then they go out and they actually get their hands on the river and try to find those food chains and how things are connected. And then ends with the end of the week with them being activists and stewards for the river, where they created some posters you'll see here and some videos that they put together too. With that, and we have Scarlett that's going to talk about the 3rd to 6th grade camp.
Welcome,
Hi,
Scarlett.
my name is Scarlett, and I had a lot of fun at the camp. My favorite part was going into the river and collecting things for my ecosystem I made. I even caught a baby crawfish. After, I released it in my backyard into the river. I've been going to the river cleanup ever since I was 2 years old with my dad. I learned a lot of new things, and I had a lot of fun. It's good to take care of the river.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scarlett.
And on Friday, we had a full day with our 7th through 12th grade group, which coincidentally ended up being just seniors in high school. So that was a lot of fun. We went and did some water sampling in the morning at 3 different locations. We did Veterans Park, the Riverwalk near St. Mary's Park, and then Hellenberg Park. So we also brought with us Sam how do you say her last name?
Todaro.
Todaro from Eagle, who's also contributes to the Commission on the Environment. And she was able to help the eco leaders translate the analysis that we did with the river. And she was also able to share her journey from post-secondary all the way up to where she is now. Some of the kids that were at the camp were very interested in being ecologists or environmental activists in some way, so that was good to have her on board for that too.
And some were just interested in being a great citizen. So it was nice that they were there as well, learning about their space. We also had Councilwoman Germani come and join us on there.
Can I share what I experienced?
Yeah, we would love that.
I got to be the bus for these kids back and forth. So I got to go on Friday. I was being nosy and I wanted to go with the kids. And I was so surprised to see Sam there. It was great. And she did a great story about her career path. And the kids were so engaged and so eager to get into the river and explore. And for seniors, for them to know what they actually want to do was amazing to me because I had no clue when I was a senior. But plant the seed now for years to come for future kids to go to this camp. It just touches my heart.
Yeah. And Sam was really
I'm happy to do the transportation for years to come.
loved it.
I had just as much fun as I was just watching her.
Actually, in our kindergarten to second grade group, that was their favorite part actually of the whole
love
week was the bus ride.
Love the bus ride.
Very impressive to them.
Thank you for letting me go.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
We also worked with that 7th to 12th grade group, those eco leaders, on doing some macroinvertebrate testing, looking at what kind of insects were in the river and the health of it that tells us. So they did some looking back at the report card that had been given and looked to see if everything's still lining up, and everything lined up as fair as they figured out as through there. And we talked about like what has been done already and what they wanted to think about in the future. This particular group took a really active role too in the cleanup, and they were the eco leaders, that group, they assisted as zone leaders. So they were paired up with someone from the city to be a zone leader and lead that next day in the cleanup. So that was really great to see them do that. And then we also had work displayed there in the videos and posters so that the water warriors and the river rangers could get their message across as well. Should we play our?
I think we should.
Okay. Here's one of the videos.
Really interesting once you dive into the facts. Crayfish are omnivores, so they can eat plants and meat. So that means they eat plants and insects. Crayfish have pinches slightly like sausage, and also they shed their skin. So I caught a crayfish.
Here, hold the net. Let's try to get him. Here he is.
I got it.
I got it.
Yeah, he's gonna push it onto it. It's gonna be.
Stop!
Okay, no, just don't try and grab it.
Okay. He's a bad boy. He already pinched me once. It hurt. There we go.
Okay, there we go. That's a better look up.
He's screaming. He's like,
You see him?
there you go. You can see his
Oh my god.
feet. They're like wet. They're pinched. They're shaking. They won't hurt you though.
Okay, now he has to get pinched on camera.
I already got pinched. I'm not doing it again.
He has to get pinched on camera.
They were most intrigued by the crayfish that
Definitely.
were there. And they learned about their part in the ecosystem too. Oops.
We also got a lot of positive feedback from the parents regarding the camp. Very excited about the prospect of next year. Couldn't believe that we didn't have maximum capacity this year. Just can't wait to do it again and share their experience with all of their friends. So
I can concur. I'm one of the parents. It was actually really nice. We were really pleased with the fact that the city offered this. and that it was at a very reasonable cost, and that it was a very cool thing. It was about the environment. And although Grace kind of clammed up today, she came home every day talking about stuff that she learned, different critters she touched, different things that she learned. She was very impressed with meeting Your Honor the Mayor. She was very vocal about it every single day. She was excited to go every morning. So, and she talked about going to she went to all the parks. She remembers all the parks she went to. And so yeah, a lot of very positive.
Thank you for sharing that.
No problem. No problem.
Brian?
Mayor, City Council, Brian Egan, Chair of the Commission on the Environment and Water Quality. I do want to thank Dr. Everly and Holly and Megan for this camp and this offering and all the education programs that they've been working on. We've been developing a master plan for the Commission on Environment and Water Quality for life after delisting, when we delist the river, but also just to create stewardship for the next generation, the young generation that we have here in Monroe to sort of pass the torch on to, and this is a great start for that. The week concluded with the river raising cleanup, as many of you know. We'd like to thank all the community residents, many of you that came out. We had over 330 volunteers sign up, and there's some people that slipped through the cracks and didn't sign up, but also assisted with the program. We had about 9 yards of trash and other non-recyclable materials that were collected and gathered. And it's sort of this running commentary between myself and Barry and Dan and the rest of the commissioners that every year we seem to collect less and less. And at first we're a little disappointed, but then we realize that it's because the cumulative effect of removing the debris in the river has really taken a hold, and we're very excited about that. Of course, as Dan Stefanski says, Monroe is on the flush end of the river raisin, so whatever is put in, west of here, we have to take care of before it ends up in the lake. As you can see, some other photos here, we had a great turnout, a lot of residents, and the thing that I was very excited about is we had a lot of youth. We had a lot of diversity of ages, groups from all over our community to help and participate in this event. But thank you again, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Brian? A comment I'll make it just, it's great to see that the stewardship shirt is here, the camp shirt. Then you saw those on the day of the cleanup. But, we have our residents, our families, the non-residents, people draw to the river because it is an opportunity to make things correct when you have some things to pull out. But I also want to give recognition to the corporate sponsors this year. Now, I'm not talking about financial contribution, but, I'll just give an example. Gerdau Steel was there, and they had to have 12 or 14 employees and wearing their T-shirts. It was really neat to see groups of organizations with their collectively there as a team to help participate and clean up the river. So, and they're just one of several that were there, but they came in numbers this year, that's for sure. So, Holly, Megan, I want to say thanks. It was great, Dr. Everly, that started this program. I think that this will accelerate even next year. I think that watching this, but also hearing from Grace and Scarlett to hear about their enjoyment of the class, hopefully will inspire some other students to join and learn about the river and be part of the solution.
Thank you, Mayor. And the city, many departments and many people help make this successful. So I want to thank them all. And as you know, if we start thinking one, then we'll forget one.
Exactly.
But anyway,
water, DPS.
thank you to all the city departments who made this very, very successful. We have a lot of problems with so many people that the last Cody meeting, it was almost a work session because we're trying to solve these good problems to have, right? Of how we can incorporate, larger and larger groups, which is the goal. So
and the great food that was served by Amias for all the people. So it was enjoyable all the way through the day. So thank you so much, and thanks for the presentation. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 5427, public hearing on ordinance 25-005 to receive and review comments on the fireworks ordinance. And there are no comments on file in the clerk treasurer's office.
Thank you. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing regarding item 5427, public hearing on ordinance 25-005, which is fireworks. The fireworks ordinance being proposed. Any comments from those present here this evening in the public hearing? Any comments regarding this proposed ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is 5418, public hearing for, to receive and review comments on an obsolete property rehabilitation act application from ST Project Management Agency LLC for the redevelopment of 111 East Front Street. There are no comments on file in the clerk's office.
I'm looking at Manager Robinson. I don't know if you had any introductions or any information.
Well, there's any introductions to this is, as you know, later in our agenda, we have an Oprah application from the people from 111 East Front Street who purchased this from a county auction, and this was set to be demolished, and they bought it at the county auction, and they've come with a plan. They've worked well with the Economic Development Office on coming with the plan, bringing things forward. They've done their research. It looks like they're probably going to be investing somewhere in the neighborhood of $550,000 into the redevelopment of a building that was probably months away from being demolished. And it is, so if you know the building, it's right next to Altrusa Park. And we're very excited to hear that they've taken an interest in redeveloping something that was old. And actually in the meeting that we had with them in our Economic Development Committee, they were just excited to be able to take something old and make it new and make it viable for our downtown. And I think it's pretty exciting. But this portion is for the public hearing. The introduction will continue back when it's an item on our agenda.
Correct. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing on item 5418, public hearing for Public Act 146, the Oprah Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act application for 111 East Front Street. Any comments from those present here this evening? Any comments for this public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is proposed ordinance 25-005, fireworks, up for its final reading.
Manager Robinson.
Your Honor, as we've had a separate work session on this, and we've brought it before council, we've had the first reading at the last meeting, and we are ready to move forward for council to okay the final reading and to adopt this ordinance.
Thank you. I'll look into council to see if there's any questions or comments regarding the proposed ordinance. We did have a work session, and I think we talked about it a couple times. And this administration is making a proposed ordinance. If there's any questions, now would be the time, or any comments. Okay, seeing none. Councilwoman Germaini.
Move to place proposed ordinance 25-005, fireworks on the floor for its final reading.
There's a motion from Councilwoman Germaini, supported by Councilwoman Stringham to, for item 5418, item 5394, proposed ordinance 25-005, fireworks up for its final reading. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaini?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Ordinance 25-005, Chapter 348, Fireworks. An ordinance to add Chapter 348, Fireworks of the Code of the City of Monroe. The City of Monroe ordains.
Shall this ordinance pass?
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaini?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 5429. Consideration of purchase agreement with Monroe County of 60 Wadsworth Street and lease agreement.
Thank you. Manager Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor, as we became kind of acquainted with these agreements with the work session that we had tonight with the proposed development for that site, as part of that, we have been working on an agreement with the county that started back in 21 or 22. And as we went through some certain real estate situations where we had purchased 212 Front Street, and then when we sold 212 Front Street, that parking lot remained a city lot that's behind that. And so it is part of all that, we were working with the county that we were gonna purchase that lot at 60 Wadsworth for this. And in return, we were gonna, for the next 30 years, we're gonna give them a lease for the value of that purchase price for 30 years, that we will have identified spots for the county employees to be able to park in that city lot. And these are the agreements that bring this together. The purchase agreement is dependent on the lease agreement and vice versa. And that is why it is before you today. We are lucky that the county has worked with us with our aggressive timeline, and these exact same agreements are on the county commissioners' docket or agenda for tomorrow night. And so that your approval will then be added to their approval, and then we can start moving forward with our due diligence and the closing, hopefully by September 24th of this year.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council members regarding this item? In the fact sheet, you'll see, for those that have and have read, besides the information at the front, it's lists the bullet points under the purchase agreement and the bullet points under the lease agreement. So it's pretty clear understanding. And of course, we had the presentation during our work session today from Monroe Cooper Company and what they have planned as well. They are kind of intertwined. Councilman Hayter.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that City Council approve the agreement for the purchase of 60 Wadsworth Street from Monroe County and the related lease agreement to Monroe County for parking spaces at 212 East Front Street, and authorize the mayor and clerk treasurer to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Stilgrave on item 5429, consideration of purchase agreement for the Monroe County of 60 Wadsworth Street lease and lease agreement. Clerk, please call the roll.
Stilgrave? Yes. Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Yes. Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item, excuse me, is 5420, scheduled public hearing for commercial property rehabilitation district establishment.
Any comments? Mr.
Yes, Your
Robinson?
Honor. Usually as as our economic development is always looking for ways to help business owners, et cetera, be able to establish new growth and be able to take care of the rehabilitation of certain buildings to pull investment is. They realized about commercial property rehabilitation district and have done their research. And I'd like to invite Assistant City Manager, Economic Development, Mark Cochran, to explain deeper what this actually means so that you can understand what we're visioning for this item.
Mr. Cochran.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, Clerk Treasurer Lavoie. So this was a discussion that we had with the Economic Development Review Committee last week regarding a new tool to have in the tool belt of the city in working with developers and property owners to improve their property. The Commercial Rehab Act allows the city to establish a district wherein property owners can apply for a tax abatement for new investment into commercial properties. So what we're proposing is to establish a district which generally encompasses and is the same as the Downtown Development Authority District, with the intent being the focus that we have on rehabilitating and improving older properties within the DDA district and helping property owners to move those projects forward financially. The obsolete property rehab abatement, the OPRA, as it's commonly known, for 111 East Front Street is an example of this. The difference being an OPRA can be approved for a period of 12 years. And what it does is it takes the current value of the property and freezes it, and any additional investment that's made into the property is frozen for that period. So they won't be taxed for that period. In order to qualify for an OPRA, they have to meet a definition that's been established by the state that says it's functionally obsolete, and the assessor's office has to write a letter certifying such. And what that means is the building cannot be used in its current state for the purpose it was originally built. Or it's blighted, or it's got a demolition order on it, or it's contaminated and things of that sort. But not every property that needs investment meets that definition. And so for those properties, they can't qualify for an OPRA, but we look at how can we help them in certain circumstances. And so that's where the Commercial Rehab Act comes in. It does the same exact thing. It freezes the property value and abates the taxes or makes the improvements non-taxable for a period of up to 10 years. Whereas an OPRA is 12 years, and it doesn't have to meet that definition of obsolete, but it does have to be a commercial property, and that's generally what you think of when you think of a commercial property for commercial purposes, but it also includes multifamily residential as well. So when we seek to achieve multi-use properties with commercial on the first floor and multiple apartments on the upper floor, particularly in the downtown, these properties would meet that threshold. But these could be, thinking about some of the properties we have downtown where they are set up for retail on the first floor, but they haven't been touched in years, or the apartment's upper floors are in a condition where they need significant investment in order to be marketable. They may not be obsolete, but we want to help these property owners with their investment. And so all we're doing tonight is proposing to establish that district. And in the future, if there are properties that want to apply for this, those would have to come back individually before both the Economic Development Review Committee and ultimately for City Council's approval. You can approve up to 10 years. So if somebody is making a smaller investment, we could approve 1 to 2 years and not necessarily the 10 years. So very much a case-by-case basis. We do have one other one in the city right now, so we are allowed to have multiple districts. We do have one at the former Lazy Boy site that was established by City Council, I think in 2021. And the intent with that one at the time was encouraging multifamily development and helping the taxes not be so high that it outpaces the investment that's needed in the property. So that district is established. We've not had any applications for it for very specific reasons, but this would be following the same procedure we did on that site back in 2021.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cochran? Of course, this evening we're scheduling the public hearing as the date states there. There's no questions. Thank you, Mr. Cochran. A motion would be in order. Councilwoman Stringham.
I move that council schedule a public hearing during the regular meeting time of September 15th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. for the purposes of receiving and reviewing comments on the establishment of a commercial rehabilitation district downtown.
Motion by Councilwoman Stringham, support by Councilwoman Steelgrave on item 5420, scheduled public hearing for commercial property rehabilitation district establishment. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 5410, authorization to submit federal land access program grant application.
Manager Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor. In this, we're seeking council's permission to submit for this grant in the amount of $3 million to the Federal Land Access Program grant. And I think Director Cochran again would like to explain exactly where that fits in with some of our plans with Detroit Avenue.
Good evening again. This project may sound familiar to you. Earlier this year, you authorized the city to submit an application or a request through our federal legislators for a community project request, or an earmark, as we have called them historically, to fund this project. Senator Peters did submit that project forward for consideration if the Appropriations Committee in the Senate and the House would consider funding it. So we're a ways off from that yet. We know the federal government hasn't approved a budget yet, and we're hopeful. However, there is another program as a plan B for us to apply for. As the city manager indicated, this is a project that was identified in the River Raisin Heritage Corridor Master Plan, and this is for the rerouting of Detroit Avenue to connect several significant properties relative to the Heritage Corridor and the National Park and the Wildlife Refuge. So FLAP, or the Federal Lands Access Program, annually the Federal Highway Administration appropriates funds to the states, and in our case, MDOT, to provide funding to local units of government or other partners to provide access to lands that are managed by federal agencies. So it's a very specific fund that can be used for very specific purposes. And in this case, because Detroit Avenue boundaries both the National Park Service owned and managed property, and then on the east side of that is the port refuge, or the port unit of the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. We have two agencies of the federal government that manage lands. And so we're proposing to submit an application to fund the realignment of that. And what it would do is it would join all of the properties together. Right now, Detroit Avenue kind of bisects it and divides those lands. So if we're able to reroute it, we would be able to join all those properties together for a better land management practice and also visitor experience. So again, these aren't funds we can apply for any other purposes other than providing access to federal property. In this case, it does.
Councilman Viney?
So when you say rerouting, do we already have a design of how it's gonna look? I don't recall.
We do. And this is the benefit, some of the support we've had from City Council to move the design forward so that when these opportunities come, we have shovel-ready projects that are more likely to get funded. And so it's the realignment. So if you're familiar, the Mason Run Drain, which is just south of the UAW Union facility on Detroit Avenue, it would, rather than go straight down from that point, the roadway would be rerouted east to border the city property and the International Wildlife Refuge property and go around it. And the new intersection would be in the area of the Clam Digger, so further east than it is right now. And so all the engineering and design is all complete and done, where if we get these funds, it would be a project next year. This is one of our capital improvements projects as well that was approved by the Planning Commission and City Council as a priority in a future year. So this would just move up the timeline and free up the funds that the city was going to dedicate to this if we get either this grant or the appropriation from the federal government.
So I guess one point for this, I'm sorry, Jim. Okay, one point for the this particular grant application, there's no match required, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So a lot of times we have grants that require 10, 20%, but this particular program, federal program, has no match requirement.
And the projects also have to align with the land management practices of both federal agencies. So we have to get a letter in support and also stating as such from both the National Park Service and Fish and Wildlife Service, which they have both committed to do, as it benefits their future management plans as well.
Any other questions? Councilman Hayter?
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to authorize the Economic and Community Development Department to submit the Federal Land Access Program grant application and approve the resolution of support.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayter, support by Councilwoman Stilgrave on item 5410, authorization to submit Federal Land Access Program grant application. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 5422, consideration of Public Act 146 Oprah application for 111 East Front Street.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, anything additional?
Nothing additional than what I provided in the introduction for the public hearing, but the Economic Development Review Committee is recommending that the city council adopt the resolution approving the Oprah exemption certificate for ST Project Management Agency, which is at 111 East Front Street for a period of 12 years.
Any questions from council? Councilwoman Vining?
What are the plans for the building? Do we know yet?
They have some big ideas for the building. They want a restaurant on the first floor, and I believe they're going to have 2 apartments in the building. And they also want to propose some amenities that would also be enhancing to our Altrusa Park project that we're trying to upgrade Altrusa Park, and they're excited. Actually, they have a lot of plans. We'll see how many of them they can get to happen.
Nice, yeah. It'd be good to see that building developed. I used to work at 115 and just stare at that building all the time. Like, it could be so nice there with that back terrace and everything. So hopefully this will work out.
You know, one of the items regarding this, as was stated earlier, the investment, that's total investment's $551,000. It's in the downtown, it's in the DDA district. It abuts there the river and the river walk. It is a building, as was stated, is going to be demolished, and I'll say the developers, the persons that are taking this on, I'm thankful for their interest and taking, as we said, the value of what this will bring, rather than taking another building out of the center of downtown. So with that, Councilman Stringham?
I'd like to move to attach the resolution approving the obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate with ST Project Management Agency, LLC, for 111 East Front Street for a period of 12 years.
Motion by Councilwoman Stringham, supported by Councilwoman Germaine. Item 5422, consideration of Public Act 146 Oprah application for 111 East Front Street. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Yes. Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item.
The next item is the item that was pulled from the consent agenda. It is item 5425, consideration to participate in the opioid settlement agreement.
Thank you. Councilwoman Vining?
Yes, Your Honor. I asked for this to be pulled. To the best of my recollection, this is maybe the 3rd settlement that we'll be voting on whether or not to receive it. And I think it's good that we participate in it. I just wanted to make a statement about the disbursements of the funds. Unfortunately, I left my notes at work. I had some great statements, so I'm going off the top of my head at this point. But one thing I'd like to see, if this vote passes, is that we have more community and grassroots involvement on how these funds are dispersed. I think it's wonderful to set up systems, but I think we need to keep the people, the actual people who are struggling with opioid addiction, in the forefront when we are setting up how we're dispersing these funds. To that end, if it has not already occurred, I would like to see the city consider a committee, a community-led committee comprised of at least one former user of opioids, maybe 1 to 2, or also 1 to 2 family members who have been affected by opioid use or death of a family member, or acquaintance. Of course, a public safety person from EMS, fire, or police who's on the scene administering these life-saving Narcan and other things to save lives. Um, a person from a grassroots organization who is on the ground with the users every day and understands some of their needs that we might not think about daily if we haven't experienced this personally. Of course, a city administrator. And again, some of the things that, there's tons of data, but some of the things that really help people recover are long-term recovery. We don't have a lot of that in the county, if any. We have some 30-day, 60-day, 90-day treatments. But if you read the statistics, the longer term, 12-month, 18 months, these are the programs that are really showing more effectiveness in recovery. Also, follow-ups. And then personally, I've known 3 people in the last couple of months who've died from opioid overdoses. And I just know that because I knew the people personally. But if there could be some type of dashboard reporting, how many calls are we getting for overdoses? How many people died? How many people were saved through the use of Narcan? I don't have all the dashboard bullets that would be on the dashboard to report, but I think it's important that we're very open and transparent. And then how the funds that we have already dispersed to whatever agencies and whatever systems that have been set up, I know that reporting the outcomes is a part of receiving those funds. Where do I find that? How does the average resident find these numbers and this information? I don't want. There's a lot of money. I think the state of Michigan is getting like 1.86 billion, and I read that 50% of that goes to municipalities. That's a lot of money that we could be helping with. Some of the things we don't consider is maybe childcare for a parent who needs to go to AA or NA, transportation, some of the things that maybe we're not thinking of. I appreciate the administration getting together to figure out how to disperse these funds, but I think we need to go further in including, like I said, the people who have the boots on the ground who are dealing with this every day. And that's not to say that we haven't touched on some of those, but I think we can do even better, directly affecting the people as opposed to just creating another system, just creating another flyer. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that I do agree that they should pay out. And hopefully, I don't know how the council's going to vote, but I am not against receiving these funds. I think we could do better with dispersing them in a way that will help individuals who are suffering from opioid addiction. Thank you. Your Honor.
So, I'll see, are there any other comments? Okay, the item before us is to approve that the new National Opioid Settlement Agreement if we approve the settlement agreement, that means that we're going to take action of receiving funds. I think the opportunities then present themselves of how the council sets forward some opportunities and plans to do that. I think there's nothing wrong with asking for the information is with the past settlements in where those went. I also need to, I was just going to look it up, but then computer goes out, but that's okay. What's some of the criteria? I think that's part of what we're going to get back from us as well, is might be some directions of what from the state, what it can be used for and how it's used. But I appreciate the conversation. Councilman Vining?
Your Honor, I move to approve the new national opioid settlement agreement and authorize the city attorney to execute the necessary documents on behalf of the city.
Motion by Councilwoman Vining, supported by Councilman Stringham to approve the participate in the opioid settlement agreement, Purdue. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stillgrave? Yes. Vining?
Yes.
Germaini?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Hader?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
No further items this evening.
This council comments. This is August. Councilman Stillgrave. Sorry, I had to do the little math there.
This Thursday is the last Music in the Park, and it is Category 5. And also on Friday is the MCOP is having the Touch a Truck, and they'll have food trucks and different things like that down there too. So come on out and join us. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Vining?
Your Honor, tonight we approve for Miss Katrina, the sale of the property on East Fifth Street, and I just wanted to know if she wanted to come up and have some words about it.
Sure, I think there'll be, she's here, but the opportunity with the citizens' comments.
Okay.
So if you just, because I'd like to hear, well, if you want to wait till citizens' comments, and then we'll be glad to listen, because I'm glad you brought this up, because this is items we've had conversation with in the past, and it's nice to hear from the person that's a participant in this program and bringing forward housing, another housing opportunity within our community. That'd be great. We'll ask her.
Your Honor, I'm also excited about seeing the wheels finally get into motion. We've been talking about housing for so many years, and to see it start to come into fruition and all of the development that's going on across the city, revolving around housing. It's showing that our all these plans and studies and everything is not just for naught, and we get to see it in 3D here soon. So I'm really excited about that. Also looking forward, I think I might have said this at the work session, but anticipating and looking forward to an update on the new library / learning bank / community center expansion. Of course, I'm over there all the time being nosy, talking to the site manager and everything. So, but just for the public, anytime you build a $10 million facility in the middle of a residential neighborhood, I think is very important to keep the residents engaged and up to date on the process. Also, finally got 3rd Street started, or picking up. We started with the water, and finally the concrete guys are out there. I'm getting calls every single day about 3rd Street, and now we see the concrete. I think one lane even got poured already, so I'm excited that happened. Thanks, Patrick. He's not here, but I've been bothering him about all the complaints I've been getting. So hopefully everyone will see the work that's going on and know that it'll be done here soon. So thank you. That's all I have for this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilwoman Germaini.
Thank you. something that I've been waiting for a long time is the kayak launch down in Hellenberg Field will be open August 20th. And they've redone the shoreline down at Hellenberg. It's very, very nice and clean, and the grass, it's very, very, I went down with the kids, of course, so that's the first time I saw it, and I went, wow. So take a look at the kayak launch. It's a beautiful spot. Everything is completely different than I envisioned it, so I'm proud of it. Go out to the lake and enjoy the water. That's all. Thank you.
Councilwoman Stringham.
I would just like to say that if you go on the website, you're going to see a contest to design the I Voted stickers. And I want to just add that that is just a great opportunity to involve the children. So I'm excited to see what designs they come up with to design this sticker. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go onto the city's website and you'll see a link explaining that. It's hard to believe that the end of summer is right around the corner. I mean, I don't know how many months, it seems like just yesterday we were talking about starting the concert series, and now we're talking about the last one. Leading into that is going to be a short-term gain that I hope everyone is patient about. St. Mary's parking lot needs some redesign desperately, and I know that the next couple of months with that being closed down is going to be painful for some people, and a lot of questions. So we're glad to answer questions. I know the city is also very glad to take calls if there's, like trying to figure out where to park in that, but just encourage everyone involved, the public and all the local businesses, the schools, try to figure out a plan to work around that, because it's going to be beautiful when it's done and we can actually drive our car without bumps. But I think even better is with the new design, we're going to be actually able to walk through the parking lot with it being safer, because people will not have to walk in the middle of the parked cars. So like short-term pain, just keep thinking long-term, it's going to be beautiful. So thank you.
Councilman Hayter.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just two things. First, my final chance to invite everybody to come out to the Labor Day Parade and Festival on August 30th. The parade will start at 1 and the festival will start at 2 right down here at Lorenzo Square. And then the only other thing I have is I wanted to thank Director Egan and everybody involved with the River Raising cleanup. It was my first time doing the River Raising cleanup, but not my first time spending time in the river. I can tell you, my mother can attest, all my teenage years, she was always down there telling me to get my butt out of the river. And like Brian said earlier, I was actually amazed at how hard it was to find things. That's a true testament to how this program has helped clean up the river. And because when I was a teenager, it wasn't nothing like that. I mean, it was very sometimes dangerous being in there. So everybody involved needs to be commended. Thank you.
Thank you. I have just a couple announcements, items that are coming up on Thursday, as we talked about the last concert series. But before that, at 5:30 p.m. is the Ducky Dash, and the Relay for Life is doing the Ducky Dash this year. So if you haven't bought a ticket, she has no more. Go to Relay for Life, and they have them available on their site, or come down that day right up until before they drop the ducks in the river and float down to Altrusa Park. And again, connecting what we talked about through the evening here, the importance of that park and our clean river as well. So that's one item that's on Thursday, the 21st. There's a program, Sawyer Homestead is managed by the Sawyer Homestead Group, and they have their third annual program, Monarchs and the Milkweed, and it is on Thursday, August 28th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. There is no cost. It's free for all ages. They also have some children-specific stories and activities they're going to have following the general information session. So if you haven't seen the flyer, you can go to the Sawyer Homestead's website. I believe it's on the city's website as well. Again, that's August 28th. There's at our national park, the River Raising National Battlefield Park, has a program that is Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the Battlefield Visitor Center in the theater, I believe. And it's John Weaver II is going to be presenting a lecture series. He's been involved in military history lecture. the seize and capture of Fort Detroit. And of course, that ties to our national park as well when you talk about the War of 1812. And I'm sure that'll be very informative. Again, that's on Wednesday, the 20th. I think those are my comments for this evening. Clerk Treasurer Lavoy.
First of all, I had some milkweed in my yard this year, and I must say there were a lot of butterflies, so it does work. I wanted to thank Councilwoman Stringham for bringing up the sticker contest. I was planned that for about 10 years. Sometimes government moves slowly. I've said that before. But we finally have all the pieces in place to be able to launch it. We have a wonderful communications department that has been able to help me with it, and we're really excited to bring the I Voted sticker contest to the city of Monroe. So it's open to all city of Monroe youth. It's ages 5 through 18, and it's broken down into 3 categories so that the youngsters will be competing against their own age group and not someone else. The top 3 winners from each age group will then be picked from a group of a panelist of judges, and then that will be put before the general public, and then the winners will be reproduced and used for our city election here in November. So again, thanks to Councilwoman Stringham for spreading the word, and I know I heard from Councilwoman Vining as well, and she was very excited about it. Well, I'll probably do a small presentation at our next council meeting to get a little more information, but it is available on our website and then our Facebook page as well. There are links to that as well. And you can always call the clerk's office and we'll be glad to direct you. So just encourage our voters of tomorrow to participate today. That would be great. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Andrew Robinson.
Well, the only comment I really needed is, and I don't mean to break Councilwoman Germaini's heart, but we received word today that the kayak launch that we've been waiting on since May has yet another production stall for us to be able to get it here. So it doesn't look like it's going to be in on August 20th, and we'll end up having the communications department put a correction out. But I've read some pretty spirited emails between Director Cochran and people in that company. So hopefully we will get something in return for basically losing out on a summer of having our launch in. But it will be in before the end of the year, we hope. So sorry. But that's all the only comments I have today.
Still looks beautiful down there, so go look at it.
It does tie to the conversations throughout the night with the children that were here, the stewardship camp and the river and Hellenberg Park from one end of our city to the other. So next is citizens' comments. And if there's those present here this evening who wish to have comments, just step forward, state your name, your jurisdiction of residence, and mindful of the chamber rules of 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Daniel R. Gentner, Gentner. I reside at and own the property at 1087 North Monroe Street, Monroe, Michigan, 48162. I'm here to emphatically state my opposition to the continuation of the sidewalk project out North Monroe Street between Stockton and Stedman. I work on the idea of the reasonable person standard. I believe everything about this project is anti-reasonable person standard, and I'll explain why. First of all, I'd like to ask a couple questions. Does the current project include traversing the Mason Run? Yes or no?
Well, this is your time to talk with us. It's not a back and forth. It's your time to tell us what you wish to.
I can't ask questions?
Well, you can ask the questions, but we're not going to sit here and get in a dialogue or a debate because it's your time. I'll stop the time for a second here so I can explain. You can ask questions, and if you want to ask the question, I see the manager's always writing them down already. Your questions will be answered, but if we spend your time answering your question, that takes away from your time of being able to say what you want to say.
I understand that.
Yeah. I will say the long-term plan of this sidewalks will include getting across Mesa Run. Whether it's current now or in the future, I can't say. But yes, if we're only going to go somewhere and stop, then there's no sense of doing the plan. But That's a different project and different funding source that we're going to use. We're using the sidewalk millage for this program currently. That would not be included partially within that. That's my first comment. But if you have further, please go. I'll start the clock again.
I have a couple of questions. Who's providing the funding for this? I have been told
Okay.
it's grant money. I don't know what that means.
Well, the sidewalk program was a millage passed by all the residents to put sidewalks across our city on all streets and to make repairs for the sidewalk. We do get funding periodically for certain non-motorized activities. We received a grant for almost $900,000 for the trail through the old railroad spur. But the sidewalks millage pays for roads, sidewalks, and non-motorized.
So it's not grant money.
I can't say. Well, Mr. Robinson's got your note. He'll get with you.
Okay,
I'm
thank
going to
you.
start again, but I'm not going to stop the clock. Go ahead.
Okay, what is the specific cost of that stretch of sidewalk? Your newsletter indicates 4 projects and about sidewalks, approximate cost of $500,000. Could you give me a guesstimate of what that stretch of sidewalk is going to cost?
I have no idea. Mr. Robinson will look that up for you.
Okay, thank you. If completed, as the homeowner, will I be responsible to remove snow from that sidewalk?
The sidewalk that's in front of my house and it has 3 sides, I will tell you, I clear the sidewalk as my responsibility.
Is there a city ordinance that requires me to clean it?
Yes.
Yes, there is.
Thank
But if you keep asking questions, you're not going to have your 3 minutes to finish. all you
Okay,
got to say.
I know.
Okay.
I know how to manage my time. All right, strategic planning, how we get to this point. I have serious questions about how that was conducted. I have experience in strategic planning, and the main goal of strategic planning is to identify the stakeholder and get their input. The stakeholders really in this situation are the 57 residents that live in the 5S neighborhood, Sylvan, Stockton, Stanford, Standish, and Stedman, along with the 12 homeowners that live across the Monroe Street where these sidewalks are to be built. I'm the only person I know of that spoke out about this, so you're lacking 68 voices. Why is that? Because the city never has asked. That's my opinion. Public safety, governmental liability, if somebody could let me know how much time I have left.
You have 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Public safety. This is a bad public plan, public situation. And I think you're opening yourself up to an extreme amount of government liability. With the sidewalk being next to the road at Sylvan Drive, inexplicably, it swerves off to the right. And at the other end, if you're not traversing the Mason Run at the time you install these sidewalks, it's only human nature that a person's going to walk down there and say, hey, I can't go any further. What are they going to do? Go back? I don't think so. They're probably going to jaywalk, which is against the law, and put themselves in harm's way. Or they might decide to road walk, which is actually walking out into Monroe Street to get past the Mason Run. Serious flaws in this plan. I sent a letter last October 24 with 10 issues that I asked the city to review. I have yet to receive any level of response other than an acknowledgement that the city has my letter. What do I recommend? At least temporarily halt this process and review the situation. Review the public safety
Dan,
concerns.
You're well over 4 minutes. So Manager Robinson, if you have additional questions, if you want to speak with him, I will find out where the letter is and who it was sent to. I will find that out. Manager Robinson will get a hold of you. If you leave your phone number or contact with him, he'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They do that now or later?
Sure, you can do it right now if you like. Yeah, go right ahead.
Phone number, Mr. Gantner.
734.
Yep, me.
Okay. Other comments from those present here this evening?
Elliot James, 633 Stone Street. I'm not here to blast the city. I'm here to say Thank you for the Third Street project that you're working on. It looks really nice, and I appreciate that it's being done. Now we got to work on the bike path and walking path around the east side of Monroe. I hope that everybody still has that in their mind, because I'll be back.
All right. Thank you for your comments, Mr. James. Please come forward. So Councilwoman Vining asked if you'd come. Obviously, I think you might have anyways, but I wanted to maybe hear about the project, what you're doing, and it was on the agenda this evening for housing.
First of all, excuse me. My name is Katrina Calnan Ramos, and I want to say thank you, y'all. I'm going to have so much fun with this project. I cannot wait to actually just break ground to do the shipping container builds. I know it doesn't sound really all that interesting or highly entertaining. People usually think of shipping containers as not much. But I grew up doing the reduce, reuse, recycle, a bit of environmentalist. And I just love the idea of repurposing and reusing what we already have in front of us. The shipping containers themselves are just so over-designed for almost anything that we could come up with for their possible uses. And now that they're even coming in, refrigerated ones, freezer ones, past couple decades, it just changes the whole entire game plan to be able to turn these narrow structures into something livable that can actually become homes, living places for people that are unable to really afford a whole bunch for, their upkeep. And so my intention is to be able to keep the cost low so that I can in turn help my tenants to have affordable living. Any questions in reference to my little dream builds?
I know with Councilwoman Vine and the rest of the council, we look forward to working on the project with you and look forward to how we can come to completion.
So excited about this. I
Right.
love getting dirty. I really do.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you all.
Other comments from those present here this evening? Other comments? Yes, sir.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Devin Rucker, City of Monroe. I'm here today as a board member for the Rivers and Clubhouse. Thursday is going to be a busy day, but if you have time between 4 and 8, we are doing a spaghetti dinner. Funds that will be raised will help adults with mental health issues. I want to give a special thank you to Councilwoman Steelgrave for the donation of the food for this event, as well as Chef Tino. Him and his team will be preparing the meals. Once again, that's this Thursday from 4 to 8. Grab some spaghetti, take it home, and then I'll see you at the concert series. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your comments. Other comments from those present here this evening? Yes, sir. Board, please. Name and jurisdiction of residence.
Mayor, council members, thanks for hearing me. My name is Charlie Burns. I live at 532 North Macomb Street. My wife Natalie's with me. We have a problem with the speed on Macomb Street. We live at the fastest intersection on Macomb, always have been. And the problem is, prior to the election, I talked to somebody here at the council about seeing the chief of police. They recommended you don't have to do that if you'll see Lieutenant Clapton. So I talked with him, told him the situation. He gave me several situations. We can put this sign, we can do this sign, we can get the, I'm trying to think what the name of the sign is. Anyway, the solar sign that gives the speed limit. We have a lack of speed signs on the street. We don't have a four-way stop. My suggestion has been, because I'm not getting anything out of the police, they're not patrolling it, they're not enforcing it, and I mean it's bad. It's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Since they've taken the turn signal out on Macomb, when you go from Noble Street all the way to Frenchtown, like the Detroit Dragway. There's no stopping them. They just, and I mean, it's got bad. I'm talking 40, 50 miles an hour plus, people passing people on Macomb. We have the busiest intersection right there with the hospital. The hospital employees, the hospital traffic, the traffic to and from the hospital. That is a very, very heavy traveled stop street, corner street. My question was to somebody in the city, why don't we make that a four-way stop? Well, Mr. Burns, if we make it a four-way stop, they'll roll the stop sign. I don't know about you folks, I drive a lot. People roll stuff all the time, and I see it all the time. We both, since I've retired 5.5 months ago, I'm starting to find out things about the town. We've been there 30 years and we love where we live. It just, the speed has just got to be ridiculous. It's got to be ridiculous. We walk and go down to Noble. That's a four-way. It's a good stop. People wave you on, they stop. I suppose every now and then somebody will roll the stop sign. People don't obey the street laws today, I know that. But our corner needs a four-way stop. If they're not going to police it with radar, with some other system, you know, my experience has been years ago in Lincoln Park, they had problems with people speeding. They did a campaign and turned the city around. This is 15, 20 years ago. I can go down Telegraph and get to Lincoln Park. The first thing I do is look down at my speedometer. That's how strong that was. I think if they police this or do something to this effect, within about 90 days, the word will get out and people will naturally slow down. They'll start saying, don't go speeding down Macomb Street, they're policing. You know, it's just got that bad, folks. There's going to be a bad accident. I'm telling you, there's going to be a bad accident. I'm not talking 5 over, 10 over. I'm talking 45, 50 or more. And as I said, I've talked to the police. I talked to them again in February. So told me he had several things they were going to do. We haven't seen one thing. And then since then, they had, when I talked to them this last time, about a week or so later, they had a couple cars sit there and observe. I saw them at the end of our street. I saw them further up on the street and looking, and then they disappeared. We haven't seen anything since, but it's bad.
Okay. We'll talk with the city manager, and I know what you're talking about, and we'll see what next steps we can take.
I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the opportunity to address this issue because it's bad. We got children, we got people now, we're getting older, we got grandkids up and down Grove Street, and the president of the hospital put a beautiful sign up there for people to slow down. It's just, people are trying, but we're not getting anywhere. And it's got to the point, since I've retired, I sit there and watch it all the time.
Well, like I said, we'll follow up with the city manager.
Mayor,
Thank
thank you, council, thank you for listening to me. I
Wonderful
appreciate it.
night. Other comments from those present here this evening? Any further comments? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilwoman Stillgrave, supported by Councilman Hayter to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Hayter?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Thank you all for being